most of the times you'll be hard pressed to figure out which is which. So, and there's even a shot that starts out with a puppet and ends in CG, and no one ever noticed.
Can you tell us the day you realized that CG was taking over?
Yes. It was a day at Stan Winston's on Jurassic Park, and we had been creating. We'd kind of seen it before, a little bit on Batman Returns. I was in charge of building all of these penguins with rocket packs, and we made all these puppets. And then it was this interesting back and forth thing where, like, they would decide some of the puppet shots to get replaced with CG shots, and then some CG shots got replaced with puppets, and there was kind of like this ongoing tally. And we didn't like, okay, for maybe these really long shots that are really dark, it'll work. But then right after that, we launched right into Terminator 2. And we thought, okay, they can do really cool stuff like liquid metal men and stuff like that. But how well can they do like people? And I felt like the liquid metal man, like going through the bars and stuff. He looked really, really good, but he still looked a little CG. But at the time, it was wonderful. And we still and again on that movie there was like this back and forth, like we would get some shots that were supposed to be CG and CG would get some shots, and so there was a little bit of back and forth, and then Jurassic Park came along, and then one day they sent this test over from Industrial Light and Magic of this T-Rex walking in this field, and there's this big tree bush thing, and as it walks through it brushes this tree. And it's very, very interactive and looks great. And Stan brings it in, and Stan and the other four main guys at Stan's, we're all looking at this, and we just look at each other and we go, our days are numbered. It's like, this is the future. And we didn't know that. We didn't realize it was kind of, yes, it was the future, but no, it's not the future. It's kind of a mixed bag there. But and that was shortly after that Stan came to me and said, hey, well, he wants to build a CG studio so because he wants to make full-on characters, and so that's kind of how that got started there as well.
And they assumed that you knew all things.
Yeah, because I did a flying logo on my Amiga, and I did a chrome dinosaur hopping, and but the thing on Jurassic Park is that. So we decided, okay, we're going to create a liaison with ILM to do their dinosaurs, but we really, really need them to look the same. You know, when we cut to a CG T-Rex and we cut to our real T-Rex, we want them to be, you know, the audience can't tell the difference. And so that led to this really great liaison between myself and a woman up there in Industrial Light and Magic. Her name was Janet Healy, who has gone on to be producer of many, many animated movies at this point in time. But she was the line producer at that time. And we came up with this plan. We would do things like we would get a great big piece of T-Rex skin, foam latex skin this big. And on this section, we would paint the base layer of paint. And then on this section, we'd paint the base layer with the next layer. And we basically gave them a paint by number system to create their textures for all the dinosaurs so that they would look right. And that worked really well. When you watch the movie, right to this day, I'm surprised at how well the movie holds up. To this day, where you see the puppets and you see the CG ones, it's hard to tell the difference. There's a couple places, but most of the times you'll be hard pressed to figure out which is which. So, and there's even a shot that starts out with a puppet and ends in CG, and no one ever noticed. Is like I had this insert raptor puppet, and I'm chasing the kid into the refrigerator, right, the freezer in the kitchen room, and the kid gets out of the deal, and he's trying to slam the refrigerator door on the raptor. The first time the raptor head comes out, it's my puppet. The second time it comes out, it's CG, and we did that just to see if we could do it, and it worked, and no one ever noticed. So that was cool.
How did the realization that CG was taking over change your life?
Made me jump into CG. Yeah, like basically Jurassic Park was kind of my last official rubber monster animatronic type movie, although I did more after that. But I absolutely, after Jurassic Park, I helped form Digital Domain, and then I went totally into the CG world because I I wanted to be able to bring monsters and creatures to life where you could see their whole bodies and walking around. And I wanted to be the guy who could design those walk cycles and those behaviors. And so that was fun to go off and do that. The interesting thing was that we abused CG. We totally abused CG to the point where we decided we need to reel this back in. And I think this movie I worked on that really comes to mind. I was working on a movie called Interview with the Vampire, and there were certain things like there's a scene that happens like 100 years ago. It's on the Mississippi River at night, and the vampire character comes up to this woman on the dike and he bites her in the neck, and vampire stuff, and she bleeds on her white dress. Right now, any other day, I would have gone out and bought a bottle of I would have bought a bottle of Caro syrup and some red food color, some tubing, and a little baby Asperix syringe, and we would have ran that tubing through her, and $12 later, we have a blood effect, right? Squeeze the bulb, blood comes out, ta-da. We decided not to do that. We decided to do that blood in CG. So the first thing that we had to do was, it was a Luma crane shot. So it was a 30-foot long camera crane, and we had to come up with a way of tracking that crane. So I built a digital optical encoder system and placed it in all the moving parts of the crane, including the track, so we could record the motion of the crane to get it into CG. So that was like a 10-week project, just creating those encoders and getting that stuff to work. But then we filmed it, we tracked it all, and we came back, and then I made these picture frames, and I stretched cheesecloth across these picture frames, okay? And then I put them on horizontal, and I put a mirror under them, put a camera that shoots in the mirror straight up into the cheesecloth, and then we dripped India ink on the cheesecloth, and we filmed it spreading. And we did 3 different plates of this India ink spreading. And we took that film and we digitized it. We gave it to a guy, and he superimposed it over the dress and made it work with this thing called elastic reality, which is this old program. Remember in the old days, we'd see all these movies where people would like change like Manimal and stuff. Like the people would like transform instantly, CG. They would cinemorph into a creature. This software was designed to do that, but we repurposed it to do a blood stain. So overall, something that cost $12 practically, we spent about $150,000 to do it CG. And why? And there were a couple other cases in that movie where we did similar things. But then afterwards, we started to realize, let's not. And then this interesting shift happened where we found, hey, why not use the best of both? And I think that one of the great examples of that is this. It's like the unofficial sequel to Jumanji, the space one, Zurastra, something like that. They play a Jumanji game and their house flies up into space and they have to finish the game before they can get back to Earth, and there's aliens and monsters and robots. And at one point, there's all these robots running around their house wreaking havoc. And from the waist down, they're robots on wheels, kind of like the robot from Lost in Space. Then from the top up, they're like again like the robot from Lost in Space with their arms. So what they did is they built the robot from the waist up, was practical. So they made it, and so that was a pup, that was a guy in a suit, and then from the waist down it was green screen, and they filmed it, and then they replaced the bottom part with the CG part with the rollers and stuff. And I thought that was a brilliant technique to bring both worlds together, because we couldn't have done that as well in practically and CG. They wouldn't have been able to get that nice interaction with the other cast members and the lights without having that upper part of the torso practical. And that's a really great direction where the industry has gone, where it's hybrid both of them to work off of each other and benefit from that way. So.
And I get the sense that you just love to problem solve, that spark of an idea.
Yeah.
What do you teach your students about problem solving? Because some people are problem averse, and then some people thrive on finding some interesting creative way around it.
There's this one one of the things I will tell them, like if you hit an obstacle, if you come up on an obstacle, what are the different things that we can do for this obstacle? Can we go around it? Can we go over it? Can we back up? Can we knock it over? What are our options available to solve that problem? And not just think of like the first option, well, I can't get through that obstacle because it's in front of me. How can I get around that obstacle? And maybe just take a step back. And a lot of times, like I will get like so focused on a problem, I'll get absorbed and I can't figure it out. And then I'll go off and do something like go see helicopters, and the answer will come to you right out of the blue. And so I tell my students to take breaks. A lot of young people, they get in front of a computer and they will sit there for 5 hours, and we can't have that. That's not healthy. I make my students get up and take breaks. I make them like get up and look away from the computer and look across the room, do eye exercises. And all this is because of my personal journey, is I had pretty good eyesight until I started using the computer. And now my focus is at a computer monitor. Everything in front of it is blurry, and everything beyond that is blurry. So out of my personal journey, I'm telling them, don't let this happen to you, and have a life. And it's important to it's important to like say, we all look at life as this journey, right? And we go and you have to work hard on your journey. Like they say, like, okay, you go to the first grade, and if you work really hard, your journey will end and you'll go to the second grade. And if you work really hard, now your journey takes you to the third grade. And we're kind of conditioned to do that stuff. But what we are not conditioned to do is to stop and play and sing and dance and enjoy those moments. And it's not about that journey. It's kind of like if you look at the universe doesn't work. The universe, if you think about it, it's kind of more musical in a sense. The universe, you don't like in a musical sense. The universe doesn't have to be at class at 9:30 in the morning, right? It just is. And I look at the universe more of as a musical sense because you don't work the piano and you don't work a dance. You dance a dance and you play the piano. And the object, if it were a journey, the object of playing the piano would be to get to that last note. And it's not to get to the last note. And it's not to get to that last dance step. It's to dance the dance and enjoy that moment and be in that moment. And that's what our students, I need to impress that on students. Like, okay, do your journey, but don't forget to stop and celebrate your life and journey and sing and dance and do that, because that's really what it's about. And then go on your next journey. So I know I got off on a tangent there.
No, I love it. I love it because it ties back into competition. And we talked about how the film industry, especially now, is very competitive. But it sounds like to give something space is important not only for your mental health, but also for your creative health.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You need to be able to back up and look at it from different angles. And like I was just complimenting a student the other day, and I was telling him, and I was using this metaphor for him. A lot of students, they will look at something and they will go, oh, okay, what is this? But this one student, he will look at this and he go, huh. And then he'll go, huh. And he will look at it from every side. And so this is the student, I gave him a special project. I said, hey, can you go explore this software for me and let me know what you come up with? I was like, yeah, I'll do that, but I don't know why you want me to do it. And I said, because you look at things from a different angle. And he's going to ask questions that nobody else is going to ask when he looks at that software, and he's going to come back with answers that nobody thought of to ask. And a lot of those questions could be stuff that could stop the software from actually working the way we want it to do it. So, and he will find that out. So there's it's fun to work with people like that. So, and it's great if you can surround yourself with people, if you can work with people that are better than you will always be able to learn from them. And that's a good thing too. So,